turn the corset the right way out, and we're going to give it a good press with the iron, and we put some pins in just to hold it in place while we're ironing it. Now we're ironing with a damp cloth because it's velvet that I'm using, and we don't really want to ruin the velvet. And this is the lining side facing up that you can see. And we'll do that all the way along the top and down the other side the same. We've now done a trial fit of the bodice and cut it to shape. It really does help if you have somebody do this for you. Help draw your line. Because what I'll be doing later on is putting some piping around the bottom so it looks nice and tidy. But for now the next step will be putting the boning in. I've bought this 7mm wide spiral boning in a continuous length so it can be cut by yourself, or if you have a helpful dad that will cut it for you, that's even better. And it also comes with these little end caps to put over the end of your boning. This is a piece we cut earlier. Obviously you have to measure each channels to know how much of each you have to cut. And don't forget, we're not going right to the ends because you have to turn those over and add your piping yet, so don't go right to the bottom of your bodice.
Okay, to put one on, you just put the end cap over the end of the spiral. Use one pair of pliers to pinch it tight that way, and then use a second pair of pliers to pinch it tight. Oops, it's very slippy. To pinch it tight that way, really pinch the pliers tight onto it, and that will seal your cap onto the end. Do that on both ends, and then find your channel that you're going to put it into and start threading that in, and push it up as far as you can. I'm going to push mine right the way up to the top for now, as far as it will go, and then I'm going to get a pin and just put a pin at the bottom because we don't want that falling down while we're doing our sewing. So it's gone right up to the end. When you've done your sewing line, you can take all these pins out and then just release the boning a little bit. Okay, and that's it.
And you do that for all the boning channel that you've made on your lining as earlier on in my video. Before we can even add any piping, there's a handy little tip in a book we found that tells you to do a sewing line all the way along the direction or shape of the bottom of your bodice or corset or whatever it is you're making that you want to add piping to. So you just basically do one line following the direction all the way around. Okay, we've now sewn our line all the way across. Probably see it a bit better there. And the next thing to do is make our piping. And then we can start on doing the piping to go around the bottom of the corset. For this we use this handy set square mat, and we have to cut it on the bias, which means you're going diagonally across the fabric. This will make your piping smoother and easier to go around the corners than if you cut it on the straight grain. And I want my rectangle strip to be we'll go for about 5 centimetres wide, which is what Mum's doing at the moment. And of course it's important first that you measure around the bottom of your bodice to see how long your piping will be. Mine was about 90, but we're adding an extra 5 centimetres just in case, but it should be okay. The next thing you do is to take your strip of fabric, put it with the good side facing down, and take some piping cord that you should be able to buy from most fabric stores or off the internet. Just very fine cord, or we can probably get it in upholstery stores as well. And basically what you have to do is, well, I always leave a bit sticking out the end just in case it gets lost inside, but you have to fold your fabric over and then you have to pin all the way along so that your piping stays in place right near the edge where you folded it. And I'll show you that when I've finished. Okay, I have now pinned my piping in place all the way along the strip right to the other end. Again, I'm not going to cut this just yet, not until I've sewn it down. Next thing I'll be doing is taking it to machine, and we'll need to use a zipper foot to do this. You could use an ordinary foot, but it's a bit easier with a zipper foot. And I'll be showing you how we sew right along as close as possible to the piping, because you don't want to sew too far away, because otherwise your piping will become loose and you want that to stay right in place. You need your special zipping foot on your machine. Now remember what I said earlier, that you have to try and sew as close as possible to keep your piping in. You do that all the way along to the end of your strip. Okay, this is the piping, and I cut off the excess, but I've just left a bit at the end there, and we're going to show you how to put it on. Okay, put in your piping onto it.
Okay, where you've just done your line of sewing to hold all your sections together, you need to be fractionally on this side so it doesn't show the sewing, and your piping needs to be facing down like that. Just do a little overhang, and you've got to match up that piece of sewing with the sewing on your piping. Put it a little bit further, a little bit fiddly. Now because we're doing lots of thicknesses here, it is super thick because of the velvet, I've changed the needle to a size 16. Hopefully it will go through all the layers.
Okay, they say you learn something new every day, and what we've learnt today is do not try and machine through 3 layers of velvet and a layer of corset. We have tried it, but the machine got a quarter of the way in and it didn't work, so guess what I had to do? I won't be defeated, and I was really determined that I was going to have my piping on the bottom of this bodice. So yes, I've had to sew it on all by hand, but not only go over it once, but all over it twice, just to get the piping on. And what we've done in the corner here is to get the piping to bend round into that V shape, you had to cut into the corner like so.
Okay, we've now attached our piping to our sewing line that was on the corset, and I've overlocked the edge of that now to tidy it up. And also on the inside I've taken away the excess bulk from the corset panels, ready for turning over. And that will be the next stage, turning under this like that. Let's pin that in place like that, so all you can see now is the piping at the back. Then what you'll do is hand stitch this to the lining only on the back, and then that should be your finished corset.
Now after you've sewn your piping onto the bottom, this should be your finished bodice. That's the piping at the bottom. And here we have the lace up at the back. There we go. Please check out my other videos. I will be shortly putting another video on soon of me wearing this dress. If you type Trey Buff in the search box on YouTube, you should find all my videos. Plus my website at www.tracyscostumingworld.weebly.com, and on there you can find all written and photo tutorials as well. Thank you.